Thank you, Honourable Senators. Today, we resume our study on Bill S-279, an act to amend the Income Tax Act, data on registered charities, which was referred to this committee by the Senate of Canada on the 3rd of May 2024. We are pleased to welcome with us today the Honourable Ratna Omidvar, former senator, and as Senator Pate has just mentioned, she is now 1 year younger. As we can clearly see, we wish you happy birthday, Honourable Senator Omidvar. Thank you for accepting our invitation to appear on this important day, at least spending breakfast time with us. We will now give you from 5 to 10 minutes to share your opening remarks, after which we will move into a question and answer period. You have the floor.
On ne vous entend.
Unfortunately, we can't hear you. Perhaps you have not yet turned on your microphone. You are on mute.
Okay, I got it. Can you hear me now, Senator Carignan?
Yes, that's good. That's good.
Wonderful. Thank you, Senator Carignan and members of the committee. I must say it's a birthday gift of a different kind to get up and appear for a committee, but this bill is very close to my heart, and therefore I am really pleased to appear before you. So thank you for allowing me to speak to you today on Bill S-279, which will amend the Income Tax Act by gathering data on registered charities. This bill, I have not thought it up on my own. It actually stems from the 8th recommendation of the Special Senate Committee on the Charitable Sector, titled Catalyst for Change, a Roadmap to a Stronger Charitable Sector. You will recall this committee was brought to life by former Senator Terry Mercer, and I was privileged to serve as its deputy chair alongside with Senator Jonah Martin. S-279 is a straightforward, pragmatic measure that supports our aspirations on anti-racism, diversity, and inclusion by focusing on the charitable sector. As I have pointed out time and time again in the chamber to you, colleagues, the charitable sector is a vital part of our society. It employs 2.5 million people and contributes 8.2% of our GDP. Yet it suffers from a lack of systematic data collection on its governance as one aspect. It suffers from a lack of systemic data collection on the whole, but right now we're focusing on governance. And one of the particular challenges is that we lack data on the sector's workforce and its leadership. And lack of data hampers effective policy making, because as we have said time and time again, good policy making is based not on anecdotes, but on evidence. So Bill S-279 proposes a modest yet essential step to fill this evidence gap by focusing on the governance of Canada's 85,000 charities. Each of these charities has a board of directors responsible for setting missions, determining policies, overseeing hiring policies, investment policies, etc., and they are responsible for ensuring regulatory compliance. So their decisions significantly affect Canadians. And if you assume that there are 10 to 12 directors on every charity, and my math may not be precise, yours is likely better, we are looking at roughly 1 million Canadians in governance roles across Canada. We don't know yet, though, who they are. Do they represent the diversity of the community they serve? This lack of data means that while charities often espouse diversity in principle, the actual practice may fall short. In 2019, the Charities Committee report underscored the sector's extensive reach and highlighted the need for diversity data to measure progress in inclusion. The corporate sector, in comparison, is governed by by legislation that was approved in the Senate, I think in 2018, C-25, which is the Canada Business Corporations Act. It required federally incorporated distributing corporations to report annually on the demographic diversity of their boards. In addition, the CBCA requires such corporations to table a diversity plan. It has created a framework, in a way, for monitoring and advancing diversity in corporate boardrooms. However, there is no equivalent requirement for the charitable sector, which means that while diversity is a goal, there is actually no data or evidence to track progress. So to address this gap in 2020, I wrote an open letter to the charitable sector to collect its own diversity data. Stats Canada responded and conducted a voluntary survey with 8,835 participants, including 6,170 directors. And this was the first focused attempt to understand diversity within charitable governance. It revealed some representations, as expected. Gender does really well, but it showed significant underrepresentation of other equity-seeking groups, such as racialized individuals and Indigenous peoples, immigrants, and people with disability. The survey, while it was valuable, it was limited in scope. Because it was voluntary, it doesn't stand up to a robust data.
Just a moment, please, Senator Omidvar. We lost the translation.
Okay.
Okay, you could start. Restart.
Okay, so the survey that was done by Stats Canada was a snapshot, but it does not represent a full picture of the sector because it was voluntary, it was crowdsourced, it's not statistically significant. To establish a robust data collection, Bill's S-279 proposes a simple solution, adding a question on governance diversity to the T3010 forms that charities are required to file every year annually with the CRA. This legislative change would grant the necessary authority within the income tax for such data collection. The proposal builds on employment equity principles to ensure standardized and comparable measurements aligning with Canada's established framework for workforce data collection. Like employment equity, colleagues, and I want to underline this is not about quotas, but about gathering evidence. Over the past 30 years, I think we can all see that collecting workforce data through employment equity legislation has transformed Canada's labour market by fostering greater awareness, which could similarly drive change in the charitable sector. So Bill 279 will allow annualized data collection to create a comprehensive view of demographics and diversity in governance across the sector. This could identify trends and disparities, but most importantly, this information will remain aggregated, preserving the confidentiality of individual directors and organizations. This bill, colleagues, offers a very practical approach to supporting our aspirations in diversity, specifically governance diversity in the charitable sector. I hope for your support on this achievable and valuable step, and I look forward to your questions. Thank you.